So this is week number 5, grammar rule number 1. So the first thing we had to do was watch Taylor Molly's poem, The Impotence of Proofreading. And then we had to read how is I before E except after C a rule. So after that, we were to find at least two resources from below that we had to find grammar errors that we typically do. Something I'm guilty of, and everybody is too. I'm not perfect at essays just yet. But two sources. One source I found was the Oatmeal 10 Words You Need to Stop Misspelling. And it is effect versus affect. Now, I'm pretty sure we're all guilty of doing this. It is very common. Another I found on BuzzFeed, it's 15 common grammar errors, and it is using I when you really mean me. So the last one I found is actually what I'm going to do my tutorial on, and it is how to use a semicolon properly. Now, this has been driving me crazy since I could remember. I can never get semicolons and commas just right. So in order to use a semicolon, it allows you to connect two independent clauses. In other words, it eliminates the pause between two statements without using words such as and, but, or. So if you don't know an independent statement or independent clauses, it's when two sentences can stand on their own as sentences. So an example, which I have some very weird examples, I found them, so bear with me. The ice cream truck man drove by my house today, semicolon, he had big hairy knuckles. So with this statement, you have two independent clauses. The first one, the ice cream truck man drove by my house today. That's one sentence. He had big hairy knuckles. That's two. So with this, we're able to use a semicolon because it's two independent clauses, and it actually flows better as a semicolon versus a period. So we all have issues with using semicolons when we're not supposed to. An example of this, another weird sentence, my aunt's hairy knuckles are magnificent indeed, semicolon, but I have no desire to stroke them. So you see how first you have a conjunction, so you have but in there, and second, my aunt's hairy knuckles are magnificent indeed, period, but I have no desire to stroke them. So that second sentence is not a complete sentence. It starts with but too. So instead of a semicolon, it would be a comma. There was actually a very clever way I found how to remember commas, semicolons, and periods. It's called pause. Both bears and semicolon have a pause. So if you think about it this way, a period, when you're reading, it's a complete stop, and then you go on to the next sentence. Well, a semicolon is more of a moderate pause, and a comma is a brief pause. So semicolon, another way of looking at it. So a semicolon can also be used as a super comma. Never heard of this in my life, so this is very interesting, and I didn't know you can do this. So you know how when you list, certain ideas or things and you use commas? Well, you could actually use a semicolon in between. I'll give you an example. While searching for a good place to get a burger, comma, I traveled to Seattle, comma, Washington, semicolon, Tokyo, comma, Japan, comma, and London, England. So you can see you have two objects or two places, I guess, in this sense, and then you're going to semicolon in the middle, and then two more things, semicolon, and then the last thing. That is very, very interesting because I've always thought it was just commas, and then if you list it, you basically add another sentence, but the semicolon actually allows you to not have to create a new sentence. So, trying to see if I explained everything. So I hope this tutorial helped, and it's something very, very interesting that I found that, you know, it helped me, and I'm pretty sure it could help you too. Thank you very much.